Shocking video has emerged from Chicago showing 9 police officers raiding the home of a 50-year-old African-American hospital social worker as she was preparing to go to bed. After breaking down her door, the police handcuffed the woman, who was naked, and held her for over 30 minutes before realizing they'd entered the wrong home. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot tried to block the release of the body cam footage from the 9 officers who took part in the 2019 raid. But a judge this week sided with the CBS outlet in Chicago, which then aired parts of the disturbing video along with an interview with the woman, Anjanette Young, who said she wanted the video to be shown. It occurred in February 2019 while Rahm Emanuel was still mayor of Chicago.
Another day and another purposely untold story of an improper raid in a Black community. A few days ago, news began to circulate about a 2019 botched police raid at the wrong home of a Black woman who was handcuffed while naked. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's law department tried to prevent the footage from airing on the local news and tried to keep the story under wraps.
The city's legal team is trying to stop us from telling you. It involves an innocent woman getting handcuffed, naked, with a dozen male officers watching. Now, she wants you to see the body camera video, but tonight the city went to federal court to try to keep it secret.
I'll start by saying, thankfully, the woman, Anjanette Young, is alive, but this could have ended up as another Breonna Taylor story. Taylor, who was murdered in Louisville, Kentucky, back in March, in a raid that was at the wrong house. And the story garnered national attention, highlighting police brutality and misconduct in Black communities. Just a month before Taylor was murdered, Young, a social worker, experienced a similar horror story. And again, thankfully, she's alive to tell it. This may be a trigger for some, and viewer discretion is advised.
I had just gotten home from work. And when I was undressing in my bedroom.
It was a cold February night, and Anjanette Young, a social worker, had just finished her shift at the hospital.
You see them running up to the apartment complex with the battering ram in their hand, a crowbar. It was so traumatic to hear the way the thing was hitting the door. And it happened so fast, I didn't have time to put on clothes.
And suddenly, she found herself frozen in fear, completely naked, in a room full of men.
How degrading. These officers who are set to serve and protect all people instead degrade and place fear into people of color because of misidentity that happens way too often, especially in the Black communities. These mistakes are costing people's lives, and the police constantly try to cover it up or will surely get the officers involved off without even a slap on the wrist. In this video, Young, who was clearly no threat, reportedly told police 43 times they had the wrong apartment.
And I'm just standing there. I mean, terrified, humiliated, not even understanding why in that moment that this is happening to me.
And the first thing police reach for is not clothing, it's handcuffs.
There were big guns and guns with lights and scopes on them, and they were yelling at me, you know, put your hands up, put your hands up.
What are you thinking right now?
I just remember, you know, being so afraid. It's one of those moments where I just felt like that I could have died that night. If I had made one wrong move, I felt like they would have shot me.
As reported by the CBS News, the Chicago Police Department said the raid occurred after an informant said a felon in the apartment had a handgun. The real target of the raid was in the same complex as Young, but his exact location should have been easy to determine since he was wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet at the time. Mishandling of a raid. The officers clearly just went into this Black community uninformed and unprepared. But because it's a Black community, any residence is free for target practice. These police break-ins are known as no-knock warrants. If someone is invading your home randomly, some people may want to protect themselves and possibly shoot at the intruders, which happened in the case of Breonna Taylor, who was also a wrong home invasion. resulting in her death. And the murderers, they're free. No justice. There was a law, though, that was created in her name called Breonna's Law, which bans police officers from no-knock break-ins. 3 states, Virginia, Oregon, and Florida, have already banned the tactic. But that's not enough. One wrong move and another Black life can be turned into a hashtag. Imagine the trauma for Miss Young after a long day of helping people in trauma. In order to save Black lives, we must indeed defund the police. I'm Rebecca Azor. For Politics and More, keep it locked right here on The Benjamin Dixon Show.